Iran's deputy foreign minister has said that there was no military but only a political solution to resolving the Syria conflict. Saeed Abbas Araghchi said that Iran, Russia and Turkey have agreed to establish a new process, a Astana process, in order to help de-escalation of tensions in Syria. Amnesty International has issued a report on Mexico's security situation, pointing to forced disappearances, impunity and record levels of violence as worrying signs for Latin America's second-largest economy. There is also a new murder record in the country with more than 40,000 people killed last year. The number of missing people in the country has also topped 30,000 people. Haiti has temporarily revoked Oxfam Great Britain's right to operate in the Caribbean country after allegations of sexual misconduct by some of the charity staff in the organization. Now, Oxfam has been rocked by allegations that staff, including a former Haiti country director, used prostitutes during a relief mission after a devastating earthquake hit the island nation in 2010. U.S. Special Counsel Robert Mueller has filed a new set of criminal charges against President Donald Trump's foreign campaign aides Paul Manafort and Rick Gates that include bank and tax fraud, escalating a legal battle that started last year. The Manafort and Gates are already facing criminal charges by Mueller's office in the U.S. District Court that includes conspiracy to launder money, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and failure to register as foreign agents for political work they did for a pro-Russian Ukrainian political party. Italian police scuffled with about 100 far-left protesters marching against a new fascist party event in the northern city of Turin. Dozens of far-left anti-fascists tried to break through a police cordon to keep them away from a hotel where a far-right party was holding a rally for its candidates ahead of the vote. Turkish armed forces hit a convoy of vehicles carrying arms and ammunition as well as Kurdish and Islamic State militants to Syria's Afrin. The state comes as fighters backing the Syrian government were deployed on the front lines to help repel a Turkish assault in Afrin. Nigeria's Information Minister Lai Mohammed paid a visit to Dapchi community in Yobe district where more than 50 schoolgirls have been missing since Monday after Islamist sect Boko Haram invaded their school. The Information Minister said the Islamist sect is out to embarrass his government. A group of people who say they were sexually abused by members of the Marist Brothers Congregation in Santiago asked that the case be considered by Vatican representatives who are in Chile to investigate other abuse claims. And the group's spokesman Isaac Gibovich has requested a meeting with Archbishop Charles, a Vatican envoy who traveled to Santiago to meet with witnesses accused of a bishop of covering the sexual abuse of minors by a priest. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery outside Washington on one day before he was set to meet with US President Donald Trump. China's rising power and resurgent Trans-Pacific Trade Pact will be at the top of the agenda when Turnbull and Trump meet in Washington. Argentina is giving Venezuelan immigrants extra time to present documents needed to obtain residency due to delays in obtaining paperwork from their homeland. Like other Latin American countries, Argentina has experienced a surge in immigrants from Venezuela in recent years as hundreds of thousands seek to flee the OPEC nations' deepening economic crisis. police have seized nearly 400 kilos of cocaine from the Russian embassy in Buenos Aires and arrested several members of a drug trafficking gang. Now, Argentina's security minister, Patricia Bullrich, told a press conference that the drugs discovered in an annex of the embassy had a street value of around $50 million. Brazilian government officials meant to organize a coordinated security response as fear mounts that the crime wave in Rio de Janeiro could spread throughout the country. In the capital city of Brasilia, President Michel Temer met with top military officials as state governors from Espírito Santo and Minas Gerais gathered in Sao Paulo. The White House has said that U.S. President Donald Trump does not want to ban the sales of an entire class of firearms despite mounting pressure to put assault weapons such as the one used in last week's Florida's deadly school shooting out of civilian reach. The White House spokesman Raj Shah said that the White House is looking for solutions that don't ban a class of firearms for all individuals but ban all weapons for certain individuals who are identified as threats to public safety. The UN Security Council should be convinced of the need for a ceasefire in the besieged Syrian enclave of eastern Ghouta, where at least 370 people have reportedly been killed. The UN Humanitarian Coordination for the Syria crisis, if there was a ceasefire, the UN could enter with food and medical supplies, which are just minutes away, and evacuate the critically sick and injured people from several previous sieges have been evacuated. Hundreds of travelers were stranded in Lima after 3 days of flight cancellations by the Latin American Wings airline. At least 100 of them, many Chileans, have stayed at the Jorge Chavez Airport itself despite small protests by the travelers. The passengers say they have yet to receive a response from the airline regarding the situation. US President Donald Trump emphasized that he wants to see trained teachers able to carry concealed guns to ward off potential school shooters and said he has recently spoken with the National Rifle Association about his ideas during an hour-long meeting with state and local officials on school safety. In the wake of last week's mass shooting in Florida, Trump brushed aside a suggestion of mandatory active shooter drills for schools and said he did not like the idea of having more armed guards in the schools. Russian President Vladimir Putin received the heads of defense ministries of different countries in the Kremlin ahead of Russia's Army Day. Putin met with the ministers from Armenia, Venezuela, Kazakhstan, Qatar, Mongolia, Serbia, Uzbekistan, Belarus, Azerbaijan and Kyrgyzstan and congratulated them on the upcoming holiday known as Soviet Army and Navy Day. A man crashed his vehicle into a Connecticut hospital emergency room in the U.S., after which he set himself on fire. The Middletown, Connecticut Police Chief William McKenna said that the man, known to local authorities, rammed his car into the entrance of Middlesex Hospital's emergency room, after which the driver stepped outside the vehicle and then his body became inflamed. The leader of the Italian far-right League Party, Matteo Salvini, has said it was impossible for some Muslim migrants to be integrated into society in Western countries. Speaking at the Foreign Press Association in Rome, Salvini said that some migrants coming from Islamic countries did not come to Europe to integrate but to impose their own way of life. And now some headlines across India. India has handed Canada a list of 9 people in Canada who are suspected of trying to revive a Sikh separatist movement in the Indian state of Punjab. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau travelled to Punjab, where he told state leaders his country would not support anyone trying to reignite the movement for an independent Sikh homeland called Khalistan. An aide to Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh said the list of suspects was handed to the Canadian side during the meeting with Trudeau. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wooed Indian businessmen as he positioned Canada as an ideal investment destination and announced that tech companies had committed $1 billion investments in his country. Trudeau made the comments at the India-Canada business session in New Delhi. Trudeau, who is on an 8-day trip to India, said there was a need to shift from a whole-of-government approach to a whole-of-country approach to strengthen ties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that Meghalaya needs double engine, one from Meghalaya, another from Delhi, and if both the engines come to work together, all the work which had been halted for 50 years will begin at once. PM Modi also pointed out that what is the reason that even if crores of rupees are released by Delhi for roads, there are no roads to be seen in Meghalaya. Fresh summons was issued against Nirav Modi after he failed to appear and depose before the Enforcement Directorate. Nirav Modi had replied to the ED's investigating officer who is probing the role of the diamond merchant and his uncle Mehul Choksi, the promoter of Gitanjali Gems, in the multi-billion-dollar alleged fraud at the Punjab National Bank, and cited the temporary suspension of his passport and pending business issues as reasons for his non-appearance. CBI has registered a case under Section 67B of the IT Act against members of WhatsApp group, which has been circulating and sharing child pornography. The case also registered against 5 administration of this WhatsApp group, with total members at 199, including foreign nationals from Brazil, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kenya, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, US, and China. India has been ranked worse than China and Bhutan in terms of corruption perception, but fares better than its other neighbors, including Pakistan and Bangladesh. As per a global list released by Graph watchdog Transparency International, in the Corruption Perception Index for 2017, India was ranked at the 81st place with a score of 40 among the neighboring countries. Now, Pakistan was ranked at the 117th place with a score of 32, Bangladesh at 143, Myanmar at 130, and Sri Lanka at 91. Inequality in India is on the rise for the last 3 decades, so much so that the total wealth of Indian billionaires is 15% of the GDP. According to an Oxfam India report, it said the wealthiest in India have cornered a huge part of the wealth created in the country through capitalism and inheritance, while people at the bottom are seeing their shares being reduced further. Skiing great Lindsey Vonn's Olympic career ended in disappointment after the American could not finish her run in the women's alpine combined event at Pyeongchang. Vonn, who bagged bronze in the downhill on Wednesday, had raised hopes of a golden farewell at her final Olympics after topping the downhill stage of the combined final. But she missed one of the gates and ended her final race with a did not finish next to her name. Switzerland's Michelle Gissen took the gold 1 second ahead of USA's Michaela Schifrin. And that disappointing end also extended to another skiing legend, as Marcel Hirscher suffered a similar fate. The Austrian was going for his 3rd gold medal at Pyeongchang 2018, having never previously won an Olympic gold, but his challenge in the slalom petered out as she missed a gate early on in his first run to register and did not finish. The Sweden's Andre Meirer capitalized to win a surprise maiden gold in what is his third Olympic appearance. Now, Meirer clocked a combined timing of 1 minute 38.99 seconds, which was 0.34 seconds quicker than Switzerland's Ramon Zenhausner. Meanwhile, Canada's stronghold of the women's ice hockey event at the Winter Olympics has been broken, with the United States of America winning their first gold in the event in 20 years. The Canadians came into the final having won the last 4 Olympic titles, 3 of them coming with wins over USA. Both teams were tied at 2-2 in regulation time, and their score remained level after overtime as well. Now, USA then scored in sudden death before Maddie Rooney, only 7 months old when America last won the women's ice hockey Olympic gold, saved from Canada's Megan Augusta to see the United States crowned Olympic champions again. In more joy for the American contingent in Pyeongchang, David Weiss overcame faulty equipment to retain his title in the men's ski halfpipe. Weiss looked in danger of being knocked out after faulty bindings saw his first 2 runs end in crashes, but he kept his composure and landed a near flawless round of 97.20 on his final run. It brought closure to a difficult last 4 years, which included 3 concussions and the death of his grandmother and father-in-law. A teammate and debutant Alex Ferreira took silver, with New Zealand's Nico Porteous bagging a surprise bronze at the age of just 16. Elsewhere, Austria's Anna Gasser produced a thrilling performance under pressure to snatch the women's snowboard big air gold from American Jamie Anderson. The Anderson had taken the slopestyle gold and looked set for a second title at Pyeongchang when she led after the first 2 runs, but Gasser, who had already assured herself the silver, produced a sensational jump that scored 96 to make her the first Olympic champion in the event. Gasser's total of 185 was 7.75 better than Anderson. Another 16-year-old Kiwi, Zoe Synod, took bronze as New Zealand ended 26 years without a Winter Olympic medal, with 2 on the same day.